Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Everybody Writes, your new and improved go-to guide to creating ridiculously good content. Second edition, by Ann Handley. Narrated by Carolyn, Jania, and Ann Handley. Publisher's note. This audiobook contains references to visuals present in the print and ebook editions of the book. Limit of liability, disclaimer of warranty. While the publisher and author have used their best efforts in preparing this book, they make no representations or warranties with respect to the accuracy or completeness of the contents of this book, and specifically disclaim any implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. No warranty may be created or extended by sales representatives or written sales materials. The advice and strategies contained herein may not be suitable for your situation. You should consult with a professional where appropriate. Neither the publisher nor author shall be liable for any loss of profit or any other commercial damages, including but not limited to special, incidental, consequential, or other damages. Further, readers should be aware that websites listed in this work may have changed or disappeared between when this work was written and when it is read. Neither the publisher nor authors shall be liable for any loss of profit or any other commercial damages, including but not limited to special, incidental, consequential, or other damages.
Hi, it's Ann Handley. Thanks for listening to Everybody Writes Too. Here, I read the introduction called Start Here. Then, Carolyn reads the rest of the book. Let's get started. Start here. Last Tuesday, for the first time in my life, I did a push-up. That wouldn't be remarkable for most of you, probably. It might seem even pathetic. But for me, it was an occasion to celebrate. It capped 5 months of hard work that followed a lifetime of thinking of myself as spectacularly incapable. I hail from a stunningly unathletic family. Most of us are more Eeyore than Seabiscuit. We're the ones picked last for the team, the ones who are afraid of the ball, and I was literally a 100-pound weakling. So the idea of my being capable of a push-up, or 5 or 10, or maybe eventually 50 or more, seemed as improbable as my writing this in Russian. I wrote that in the introduction of the first edition of this book 8 years ago. Still today, when I meet fans of this book in person, the number one question they ask me isn't, what's your best writing secret, or will you read my work, or, oh, I thought you were Tina Fey. That last one isn't a question. It was a comment I once got in a hotel lobby from a woman who bolted toward me from across the room, mistaking me for Tina. Was it the glasses? The hair? Her bad eyesight? I don't know. She said in a voice flat with disappointment, and also, is that an accusation? Like I'd scammed her out of $1 million? Anyway, the number one question isn't any of those. It's this. How many push-ups can you do now? It's a funny question, but it makes sense. We all want to know, did the effort deliver results? Did my single epic push-up become more? Did it actually become 5 or 10 or 50? Is it true that learning to write better really just means working the right muscles? Does it actually pay off? We want that assurance. We need answers. Is it really as simple as showing up and strengthening your muscles? Right now, you might not consider yourself much of a writer, just as I never considered myself someone who could drop and pump out even a single push-up. Many of us have the idea that the ability to write well is a gift bestowed on a chosen few. Writing well is considered an art, linked murkily to muse and mysticism and magic. So we think there are 2 kinds of people, the writing haves and the writing hapless, for whom writing well is a hopeless struggle, like trying to carve a marble bust with a butter knife. But I don't believe that. Neither should you. The truth is this. Writing well is part habit, part knowledge of some fundamental rules, and part giving a damn. We are all capable of producing good writing. We all have that magic within us. Writing is less about beckoning the muse than hanging in until the typing becomes writing, as the late, great journalist David Carr said. So the 2 kinds of people are not haves and the hapless. Instead, they are those who think they can write and those who think they can't. And often, both are wrong. In truth, most of us fall somewhere in the middle. We're more capable than we think we are. Choose your own adventure. It's tricky writing this introduction to you. There may be two kinds of writers, but there are many kinds of readers. You may be starting this for the first time. Hi, new friend. Or you've read the first edition of this book and you're wondering what's new in this one. Good to see you again. Or maybe you've started this book looking for answers to one or more of a few questions. How is everybody actually a writer? Am I? Does good writing matter anymore? How is content marketing changing? Has writing evolved since the first edition? Does everybody really write in the age of tick-face and Web3 and robots spewing a spitcoin of social posts in less time than it took you to listen to this sentence? Is the effort worth it? Is it as simple as showing up and working the muscles? To speak to all of that, I've organized this introduction as a modified choose-your-own-adventure format. As with any adventure book series, you decide what's interesting to you. Answers to those questions and more are here. Wander through this section. Choose what you need, stop and listen, skip what you don't. You're in control here. We'll all reconvene at the start of part 1. Ready? Yes, you are a writer. If you have a website, you are a publisher. If you are on social media, you are in marketing. And that means we are all writers. Yeah, but who cares about writing anymore? In a digital world dominated by short and snappy, by quick and hit, by TikTok and Twitter and GIFs or GIFs, and live streaming and BRT and emojis and Web3 and robots that write, does the idea of our focusing on writing seem ordinary and a little useless? Heck no, it's neither ordinary nor useless. Writing matters more now, not less. There are a few reasons. We are all creators. The first edition of this book talked about how we have become a planet of publishers, a world where marketing content is a wellspring, generating real business growth. In the years since the first edition, we've jumped into the deep end of the content pool. We've set up swim lanes in the form of structures and processes to consistently create content. We've linked those efforts with strategic goals. We've upped content budgets. We're using lots of tactics and channels. We're all in on social media platforms. Look, we're even wearing metaverse arm floaties. That's a lot of splashing around. Yet many of us still struggle to stay afloat. We struggle to create the kind of content that connects with the people who matter to us. Technology has given us access and power and water wings, yet we aren't taking full advantage of them. We are a planet of publishers, yet many of us are polluting the pool with content rubbish. We are all creators, yet many of us are squandering the opportunity we have to communicate directly with those we care most about reaching. Harsh, I know, but no hate. I'm here for you. The challenge has shifted. Google and other search engines have made it clear that they'll love up the good stuff more than any polluted, brackish backwater. We've embraced the idea that we are creators. The challenge that remains is the joy in the craft of the creating, the writing, the publishing, the storytelling. Your genuine, engaging voice matters. Robots might write drafts. Your competitor might generate as much content as you do. More, maybe. But no one can copy your voice. No one can show up quite as you can. No robot will ever write as you do, not really, because none feel or think as you do. The best a robot might ever do is pantomime. Will they pantomime well? Maybe. Probably. But it's still just a pantomime. Your true voice is the best way for your audience to like and trust you. Your voice sets you apart from everyone else. From me, from the robot, and from your frenzied competitor treating content like an arms race. Our online words are our emissaries. They tell the world who we are, as author Beth Dunn puts it. I love that emissaries bit. I picture our words taking their role as diplomats for us very seriously, dressed up for a special mission, carrying important messages in their tiny attaché cases. Our writing can make us look smart, or it can make us look stupid. Our writing can make us seem fun or warm or competent or trustworthy or likable. Like someone who lightens the room just by showing up. Hey, look who's here! But it can also make us seem humdrum, discombobulated, flat-out boring, or, ugh, not them again. That means we need to choose words well. We need to write with style and honest empathy for readers. Clarity counts. Clear writing matters in marketing, but it's also critical for us as professionals. Yes, you sitting there in your home office, chatting on Slack, updating your colleagues or partners through internal blogs or messaging platforms or old-fashioned email. Work today often gets done asynchronously, from various locations and with flexible work schedules. We communicate by, you guessed it, writing. More about this in part 1. That's why we need to write clearly and succinctly, to communicate our ideas and thoughts in a way that doesn't meander maddeningly to and fro, to respect our readers, to write in a way that makes people want to read. Being able to communicate well in writing isn't just nice, it's a necessity. Craft counts too. In an era of content superabundance, how we use our words matters. How we craft our communications, tell our stories, create or co-create customer experiences. We need to place a high value on an overlooked skill in marketing, how to write with flair, style, true emotion, and how to tell a true story well. The very best marketing touches our hearts. It makes us pause, think, laugh. Great writing makes us feel... I just struggled to find an adjective to complete this sentence. Then I realized it's simple. Great writing makes us feel. Period. How is content changing? Remember the scene in The Lion King when King Mufasa and his son Simba survey their kingdom at Pride Rock? Together they gaze out at the sweeping landscape, every baobab tree, every ant and zebra, every river and watering hole and setting sun and shadow, and Mufasa turns to his son. Look, Simba, he says quietly, everything the light touches is content. There's a pause, a moment ripe with drama as the cub absorbs his father's words. Finally, Simba responds. Wow, he says, his baby voice brimming with awe. I'm kidding. Mufasa doesn't mention content in the original script. He says, everything the light touches is our kingdom. But if Mufasa were a marketer, he'd 100% ad-lib that line. And he'd 100% recognize that his content kingdom is expanding by acres of baobab trees every day. Content isn't limited to the text on our web pages or product pages or blogs or email newsletters. It's as broad as the landscape from Pride Rock. It goes beyond the boundaries of what we think of as marketing. Content is everything your customer or prospect touches or interacts with, including your own digital properties and website and the experiences they offer, but also everything on any social media platform or anything we might co-create in a decentralized Web3 world. An opportunity that will only expand as we mine Web3 to find more utility. Everything the light touches is content. Your content is any medium through which you communicate with the people who might use your products or services. The kingdom might be expanding, but some things don't change. No matter what form it takes, no matter where it's created or shared, our content should follow the formula of 3. High-quality content is packed with clear utility, inspiration, and empathy for the audience. Utility means you clearly help people do something that matters to them. You help them shoulder their burdens. You ease their pain. You help them make a decision. Inspiration means our work is inspired by data. More on this later. Or it's creatively inspired, or both. It's fresh, different, well-written, well-produced, nicely designed, and it feels like it could come only from you. Empathy means you relentlessly focus on your customer. You view the entire world through their eyes because everything the light touches. Or utility times inspiration times empathy equals high-quality content. The multiplication signs are important because if the value of any one of those things, utility, inspiration, or empathy, is 0, then the product of your content is a big, fat 0 too. One more point before we move on to the next adventure. Quality, in the context of business, doesn't mean writing with all of the beauty or humor or gravitas of Toni Morrison or Tina Fey, or any other writer whose work you happen to admire. Instead, quality means we get to the essence of what makes those writers, or any writer, great. Whether we wrote Sula, or Mean Girls, or an email newsletter, or FAQ pages. It's craft, yes, and maybe it is beautiful. But more than that, it has a relentless empathy for a reader. It gets to a truth, no matter what kind of truth we tell. One of the best bits of content I ever encountered was a neatly designed guide to dishwasher repair I downloaded from an appliance website. It delivered exactly what I needed, with clear utility, inspiration, and empathy for the true pain of having shards of a drinking glass caught in the drain hose. How has writing changed? I'm glad you landed here. Don't tell the other adventurers who might have skimmed past this adventure to hurry on to the next, but this is my favorite part. To me, it's one of the most interesting to think about. How does writing change? Or does it? We're tempted to think that letters are letters and words are words and writing is always writing, as it was and is and ever shall be. We treat language as a thing that needs to be controlled through grammar. Alphabetized, categorized, proscribed, prescribed. Take 2 variants and call me in the morning. Our dictionaries catalog words with all the same luster as a carburetor manual, which is to say, none at all. There is no Sandhill VC disrupting the alphabet. No one is repeating the cliched refrain, it's like Uber, but for words. No one is crowdfunding some hot new punctuation. So, no money fueling its evolution means that writing stays as permanent and unchanged as the sun. Yeah? Nay, friend, that's the best part. We try to control and catalog it and don't actively seek to change it, and yet it slips through. It changes anyway. Writing changes because we change. Let's say that again, but louder. Writing changes because we change. I love that about writing. Writing evolves with us, and boy, oh boy, have we evolved. Our writing has become more relaxed. If writing were a dress code, it would say, yes, absolutely, leggings or pants, and ugh, no, ditch that office necktie. We now communicate in less buttoned-up ways. We use shorthand, LOL, TBH, TTYL, and one-word sentences, and sometimes incomplete sentences. In this book, did you notice already how much I love them? How much I love them. Periods find themselves with less work to do today. A period added to the end of a sentence, texted to a friend, comes off either aggressive or weirdly formal. So we leave them off, letting the full stop of the speech bubble do the work the period used to do. Its use in a sentence has been questioned more broadly, too. Social media, emojis, and cell phones all play a part in loosening up language. But I think writing is more relaxed because we are more relaxed with writing. Chicken, egg, insert shrug emoji. Playful. Boy, K thanks bye, chuggy, dad bod. I just got an email that greeted me with, "Sup, Ann?" It wasn't from a friend, it was from a sock company. Political. Language crackles like a wood fire, warm and loud, and like a fire, it can sometimes get out of control. Words can burn a little too hot. Individual words take on new heat. Woke, breakthrough, gaslight. But also, brands write about social and political issues, wading in at a depth we haven't seen previously. More on this in Chapter 61. More real. You might argue that political should actually be more real. Fair enough. Real also means that we're addressing things we didn't used to address. We've destigmatized issues like mental health and medical challenges. Empathetic. We speak in a conversational tone because no one needs the stiff language of business. We at least try to view the world through the eyes of others. It's weird to think that a global pandemic had a lasting silver lining, but there is one I can think of. COVID made us more compassionate communicators. If we care to be. We do. More human. I hate describing the way we communicate with that cliche of more human. It invites the question, well, what's not human? But it's true. When AI writes a first draft for us, we have both an opportunity and an imperative to layer on our unique point of view, personality, joy, playfulness. The best a robot might ever do is pantomime. Accessible. Simpler direct language is better understood by most of us. We saw great examples of making language accessible in the past few years. For example, some forward-thinking healthcare organizations and agencies sought to interpret public health initiatives into plain language, so people like you and me could more easily understand them. Inclusive. Language is like a strong magnet. It can bring us closer together or drive us apart. We are embedding equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts into writing, for example, using they as a single pronoun. In other words, our writing increasingly reflects and respects the experiences and perspectives of others. Imperfect. Imperfect bests polished. Unscripted bests scripted. I'm not inviting you to throw typos into your posts like coins into a fountain. You can't wish for authentic. You can't manufacture it. But I'm documenting this shift, a bias to not sand off the rough edges in writing, whatever that means for you. I told you I think about this a lot. Anywho, all that has mostly happened in the past 8 years, since the first edition of this book. It's all reflected in the chapters inside, in both the writing and the ideas. What's new in this book? Sure, many how-to-write books exist in addition to this one, but most offer up pithy maxims more than true advice. They're entertaining to read, and they can be a kind of rallying cry, but they lack a can-do, how-to attitude. Or the other extreme, writing books that get too deep into the weeds of construction. Great if you're looking to up your score on a college composition. Not so helpful if you just need some guidance on how not to sound like a total idiot when you craft this week's customer mailing. What's also hard to find is a book that distills ideas about the craft of writing simply and memorably, framed for a business professional or content creator, as opposed to a novelist or a journalist. I wrote this book because I couldn't find what I wanted. Part writing guide, part handbook on the rules of good sportsmanship in marketing, and all-around reliable desk companion for anyone creating or directing content. So, what's new here? In so many ways, everything. To be honest, that surprises even me. I went into this updated edition thinking I'd take the 2014 original and add a chapter or two, fix some outdated things, edit some words, run the vacuum and puff the throw pillows and spritz some Febreze around the pages, and there! Done! So fresh, so clean. I thought it would take maybe 10 minutes. It did not take 10 minutes. It took 6 months, plus several months of elaborate procrastinating. Sure, there was some pillow puffing and refreshing and Febreze spritzing. The bones of the original are still good, but I also built an addition on the back. Replaced the draftiest windows, installed a bouncy house in the yard because writing needs joy. I expanded, rewrote, renovated the second edition for all the reasons we talked about earlier, and more. This book is needed more now than ever. Writing has never been more important to you, me, and the companies we work for. Ideas in this book have evolved. I have new ways to help you be a better writer. I have new approaches to storytelling. I have fresh examples. I have a lot to say on brand voice, which I only faintly whispered about in the first edition. I cut the boring parts. It's now 10% funnier. Writing has changed. I've changed. I'm a much better writer now than I was 8 years ago. That better writer thing is not a flex, by the way. I'm proving the point I make here repeatedly. You get better when you work that muscle, when you practice. Our writing always gets better with a rewrite. Everybody rewrites. There's also a lot that's not in this book. It's not meant to be an exhaustive resource for the business of writing. It's meant to be your practical go-to guide, offering the most important and useful guideposts, lighting the path to better writing and making us all happier, more fulfilled writers who love our work. How many push-ups? So what do I say when someone asks, how many push-ups can you do now? Did the effort pay off? Here's my answer. Yes, my single epic push-up became more. Yes, it became 5, then 10. Then I made it to 18 before I tore my rotator cuff when I fell on a snowy Boston street, sidelining myself from medaling in the push-up Olympics. Still hopeful. But before that freak fall, yes, the effort paid off. Yes, it felt amazing. Yes, it matters. Is it really as simple as showing up and working the muscles? Yes, it really was as simple as showing up and working the muscles. Words are our emissaries. They carry important messages. They build our stories. Our words, what we say, and style, how we say it, are undervalued, yet they should be our most cherished assets. They make us who we are. So the question becomes, are you telling your story from your unique perspective with a voice and style that are clearly all you? Let's get to it.
Part 1. Writing Rules. How to write better and how to hate writing less. There is no one single way to write, just as there is no one way to parent a child or roast a turkey. But there are truly terrible ways to do all three, and truly inspired ways too. With each, the writing, the roasting, the parenting, you need a basic understanding of the process before you begin. I'm going to assume you have that. You know enough to buy an oven and find a pan before you begin to roast anything, for example. In other words, this book assumes that you are equipped with some fundamentals. A working knowledge of English, that means basic levels of grammar, spelling, usage, and punctuation. And I mean very basic. If you recognize that this is a sentence and not, I don't know, a rhinoceros, we're good. You can safely proceed, knowing you aren't out of your depth. This book also assumes, hopes, that you come with some gung-ho, an eagerness to become a better writer, that you know it matters, and you've kicked to the curb the dumb notion that only a gifted few have what it takes. Author Ta-Nehisi Coates spent a year teaching writing to MIT students. He later noticed how the rigors of math had better prepared his kids for the rigors of writing, even if they didn't immediately see it that way. One of my students insisted that whereas in math you could practice and get better, in writing you either had it or you didn't. I told her that writing was more like math than she suspected. He wrote, "You can learn to be a better writer, the same way you can learn algebra or Excel formulas or playing the ukulele. You need only a little knowledge, a lot of consistent effort, and good habits. A framework or two can help too." Here in Part 1 is everything I know about writing so far. Everything I've learned intentionally and discovered by accident over decades of writing and editing professionally. And a lifetime of writing for the fun of it. It's all here. Mashed and distilled into what you need to know to be a better, more creative, more confident writer. Slid down the bar directly into your hands. Salut! If you have never written, if you are an adult onset writer, recovering from some trauma that made you feel like a hopeless writer, this section offers some processes and structures to help you get started. If you've been writing for a while but feel stuck, here is some collected wisdom that will unstick you. And if you are an experienced writer, I hope you rediscover the glee and joy of honing your craft. One of the things I like about writing is that you're never done improving. That's why you're now listening to a new edition of this book, which is so different from the first that it should be titled, Everybody Rewrites. One final thing. I named this first section Writing Rules because I want to give you useful and memorable how-tos. I also want to differentiate these ideas from the general motivational aphorisms that pass for most writing advice. Those aphorisms can be motivating, but they're frustratingly non-specific. Think of these writing rules as more functional tools and less prescriptive rules. Less hard and fast writing laws, more handy set of guidelines. as bumpers on a bowling lane that nudge the ball away from the gutter, upping the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?